Hi friends, today I will tell you about the 2013 crime thriller called Runner Runner. Richie Ferst is a student at Princeton University. He has to pay for his studies himself because his only relative, his father, has long been barely making ends meet, leaving the last pennies at the gaming table. The guy has to hustle and survive, so he becomes a partner in an online casino. His task is to lure players who will place bets and spin the virtual roulette. Among the losers of their last money are almost all of Richie's classmates, and even his professors, which greatly worries the university administration. The director gives the student a warning. Either he stops luring people from the campus, or his education will quickly come to an end. Richie has $17,000 left, an amount he can live on for some time, but which is clearly not enough to pay for a Princeton education. The guy decides to take a risk and bets everything down to the last cent. The game starts successfully. As opponents at the virtual poker table, Richie chooses the weakest players. But when the bets reach the maximum size, the student is beaten by an unknown person who breaks all the logic of the game. Richie ends up with nothing. With the help of an acquaintance programmer, the guy realizes that he lost because of a cheater. Richie decides to fly to Costa Rica to find the founder of the gaming platform and inform him about the fraud happening on his website. The guy sincerely believes that by achieving justice, he will be able to get his money back. First gets to a party where all the most famous players and game founders gather. There, he meets Rebecca, who can get an invitation to a more private reception to Ivan Block himself, one of the best gamblers and the creator of the site where Richie worked. Ivan's party is in full swing. Somehow Richie manages to get in. He has with him a message for Block, ultraviolet inscriptions invisible to the naked eye, saying that he can provide evidence of cheating on the site. Block listens to the visiting guy, thanks him for the evidence, and asks the security to escort the student out of the party. It seems that the conversation is over and there will be no justice. But already in the morning, Ivan's guards come for Richie at the hotel and take him by yacht to their boss. The boss expresses gratitude to the player for not causing a public scandal about the fraud on the site. In gratitude, he moves the guy to a room in a luxury hotel and transfers to his account the entire amount he lost during the unfair game. Moreover, he adds a little from himself. Now Richie has the full amount needed to get his Princeton diploma, but Ivan offers him a much more interesting proposal. The founder of the online casino is ready to give the guy a job whose income exceeds all possible dreams. The student accepts the offer without hesitation, not regretting that he will have to quit studying. Richie's affairs go well. Within a few months, he studies the entire inner workings of the gaming world and becomes an excellent employee, earning large amounts of money. Ivan goes to a meeting with a Costa Rican mafia boss. To run a gaming business in this country, one must regularly contribute to the budget of its powerful people. But the stakes rise as Block's profit grows. So the Costa Rican says that the amount that the gaming tycoon contributes as a permission fee doubles. Ivan is dissatisfied. Most likely, the amount will continue to grow and losses for him may exceed profits. Richie becomes Ivan's right-hand man. He easily handles casino matters and receives an important assignment from Block to recruit a serious person, Shecky. His players make up more than 10% of the gaming business, and cooperation with him will bring the company even larger income. Richie agrees without hesitation. For him, this deal will be just as successful. He goes to the city on personal business, and as soon as he lets the driver go, he is attacked by two Costa Ricans and, with a bag over his head, taken to an unknown location. On the outskirts of the city, First meets Eric Schaefer's, an FBI agent. The Federal tries to recruit the guy, promising to involve him for all possible offenses, from the Princeton story to the illegal activities of Block, which Richie does not yet even know about. In exchange for freedom, the guy must report everything that happens in Ivan's company. But Richie is not ready to betray the boss. As soon as he reaches the hotel, he immediately tells Block about the kidnapping and what the FBI is forcing him to do. Richie meets with Shecky and tries to lure him to work in their company, but he is ready to switch to Block only under a number of conditions: a higher percentage and additional bonuses. Ivan does not agree to give in, and it's not about the losses. He would still stay in profit in any case. He instructs Richie to lure the guy over in such a way as not to show weakness in anything. His philosophy is to set his own rules and not agree to anyone else's. Richie invites Shecky onto the yacht and sends him on a walk in the company of a crowd of beautiful Costa Rican women. Naturally, the young man gives in, and this ends up on Richie's video recordings. Now he is forced to agree to the transition, otherwise the video of his leisure with the models will fall into the hands of his pregnant wife. Richie, together with his friends, plans his victory over Shecky. Ivan rewarded him with a decent bonus, and the guy denies himself nothing. At a night party, Rebecca joins him, and both Richie and the girl herself understand that their fling may anger Ivan, since he considers Rebecca his own. But despite all this awareness, the couple spends the night together. One of Richie's friends, whom he arranged a job for alongside himself, leaves back home after talking with Agent Schaefer's. Block gives Richie another assignment, to take a suitcase with money from a bank safe deposit box and hand it over to the local mafioso. Not sensing a trap, First follows all instructions, and the money handover takes place in a nightclub. The guy is welcomed like an honored guest, offered the best girls, but the Costa Rican's mood changes drastically when he learns the amount Richie has brought. First is sure that a misunderstanding has occurred and promises to hand everything over to Ivan. The guy leaves the bar, but he is not allowed to go. The Costa Rican's men beat him so badly that he can barely stand. In the morning, Richie comes to Block and tries to find out if he knew about the possible consequences. But Ivan does not even deny that he allowed such a turn of events. He reminds the guy what he owes him, and without even apologizing, sends him back to work. Richie decides to end his dreams of becoming a millionaire, realizing that the jokes are over and the job is becoming dangerous. The guy decides to fly home, but at the airport he is detained by Agent Schaefer's. The FBI is not ready to let go of such a valuable witness. Eric gives First a chance not to end up in a Costa Rican prison, but for this he must stay and leak information about Block to the feds. First returns to the company but begins looking for something that will help him free himself as quickly as possible. Thanks to his programmer friend, he finds the first lead very quickly. There is nothing in the accounts of individual players, that is, Block's casino works like a financial pyramid, transferring money from player to player. But Ivan also learns about Richie's attempt to escape, and so as not to leave the guy a choice, he finds his weakest spot, his father. Block buys out the huge debt of First Senior and now blackmails the guy with the fact that his parent is completely in his power. Richie goes to meet his father. Block has placed him in a hotel not far from where his son lives. The father admits to Richie that he understands everything happening now and asks his son to save himself first of all. Richie begins making contacts with locals to enlist their support. He uses all his savings. Moreover, his programmer friend again uncovered some new information about Block's fraud, but he doesn't have time to tell it. First is taken by Yvonne's guards and driven to an unfamiliar pier. There, Richie finds Block in the company of the Costa Rican boss to whom their company owed money. The mafia boss is on his knees at the very edge of the pier, along with his bodyguard. Block's men pour chicken fat over the men and push them into the water, already swarming with crocodiles. Richie is shocked by everything happening. He begs Ivan to stop, and he agrees, but only after crocodiles have to be driven away by shots into the water. The Costa Rican Baron remains alive, but his authority is clearly undermined. Richie's programmer friend has disappeared. The apartment where he was waiting for First is turned upside down. The guy no longer trusts anyone, not even Rebecca, but the girl warns him that Ivan is preparing to flee Costa Rica, and he needs someone he can leave behind with all the debts and obligations. Richie has a plan. He still spends a lot of time in neighborhoods where he can build ties with the right people. On one of these days, he is again cornered by the Federals. They are looking for Cronin, the programmer who disappeared, but Richie doesn't know where his friend is. He was sure until the end that he had hidden thanks to the FBI. First finds a flash drive hidden by his friend and understands what he uncovered. Block was taking money from players' accounts and transferring it to an account opened in Richie's name. When this data gets into the hands of the feds, a sentence threatens not only Ivan. Richie again goes to the neighborhood and hands the money over to one of his new acquaintances. At this moment, he is caught by Block's man, who strongly insists he come along. But now becomes clear what First had been negotiating all this time with the locals. Several thugs stand up to defend the guy. Block disappears. Police raids begin on the casinos and apartments of Ivan and Richie. First, once again bribing the security at the airport, passes through a black exit and boards a small plane. His father is already waiting for him there. Block, meanwhile, together with Rebecca, waits for his bodyguard near the steps of a large, comfortable plane. The boss has just called Richie and admitted that he set him up. Both planes take off from different places, but they land not where Block had planned. His plane lands in Puerto Rico on territory under U.S. law. There, the feds are already waiting for him. Richie, on the other hand, together with Rebecca, flies away to a place where nothing will threaten them anymore, never giving testimony to Agent Schaefer's. Instead, First left him a gift, a flash drive containing all the evidence of Block's illegal work. The desire to make Richie look like a fool only led to Block ending up the fool himself. Friends, thank you for watching. Write in the comments what you think about this movie, and please don't forget to support us with a like and a subscription.